Hey there. The following is presented to you in the form of an audiobook. I want you to take a moment and yes, pause with me here. Stop and think for just a second. Have you ever asked yourself the most fundamental question that any of us could ask? And I mean truly asked, not just in passing, but sat with it. That question is, what does it mean to exist? Right now, as you're hearing these words, as your heart is steadily beating in your chest, as your thoughts are swirling in your mind, you are existing. But have you ever wondered what that means? Is it just the fact that you're alive, that you're breathing, that your body is functioning? Or is it because you can think and reflect and imagine? Or is there something much deeper, something that thinkers, philosophers, and dreamers have been wrestling with for thousands and thousands of years? Because here's the thing, the question of what it means to exist, it's possibly the most universal human experience we all share. Every single person who has ever lived, every one of them, has at some point paused, stared off into the distance, and wondered about their place in this vast, mysterious universe, about why they are here, about what makes them real. And that question, it cuts across cultures, across periods, across different walks of life. It connects us all because it touches the very core of what it means to be human. And when you stop and think about that, it's kind of humbling, isn't it? Throughout history, the most brilliant minds have tackled this question from so many different angles. The ancient philosophers built entire systems of thought around it. Modern thinkers have taken it apart, broken it down, and then tried to build it back up again. Existentialists have argued that maybe we have to create our own meaning. Scientists have tried to measure what it means to exist, to put numbers and definitions around it. And yet, despite thousands of years of inquiry, the question remains as compelling, as haunting, and as beautiful as ever. So what I want to do with you today, what I'd love to invite you to do with me, is to take a journey through this incredible story of human thought, of how we've tried to make sense of our existence. We're going to start back with the ancient Greeks, those thinkers who first really tried to grapple with these ideas systematically. Then we'll move forward in time to the revolutionary thinking of René Descartes, the man who tied the very idea of existence to the act of thinking itself. After that, we'll dive into the existentialist movement, the thinkers who said, hey, maybe the universe doesn't give us meaning, maybe we have to create it ourselves. And finally, we'll touch on what modern science, our current understanding, has to say about the very nature of existence. So let's go back. Imagine this. It's ancient Greece. Picture yourself walking through the bustling streets of Athens around 400 BCE. The air is warm, the sounds of the marketplace surround you, and there in the agora, the central gathering place, you see a group of students gathered around a teacher. That teacher is Plato. Plato is standing there, sharing his ideas about the nature of reality. And here's what's fascinating. For Plato, existence wasn't just about the physical world we can see and touch. No, for Plato, existence was about something much more fundamental, something eternal. He believed in what he called the forms, perfect, unchanging ideals that exist beyond our physical world. Think about it this way. Have you ever seen a sunset that just takes your breath away? One of those moments where the sky is painted in these unreal colors and you just stand there, amazed. Plato would say, yes, that beauty you're seeing, it's just a reflection of the perfect eternal form of beauty. The sunset is beautiful because it participates in that perfect form. For Plato, true existence wasn't about the temporary, ever-changing world we experience with our senses. It was about these perfect, eternal realities that lie beyond what we can see. He had this famous thought experiment called the allegory of the cave, and if you've never heard it, imagine this. There are prisoners chained in a cave. All they can see are shadows dancing on the wall in front of them. Those shadows are all they've ever known, so to them the shadows are reality. Then one day, one of the prisoners breaks free. He steps outside the cave into the light, and suddenly he sees the real objects casting the shadows. He sees the sun, the sky, the true source of all those images, and he realizes that all his life he'd been living in an illusion. Plato believed that most of us are like those prisoners. We think the world we see, the physical, changing world, is all there is. But true existence, real being, is found in those eternal forms that lie beyond the cave. But then came Aristotle, Plato's student, who had a very different perspective. Aristotle said, hold on, Plato, that's a bit too abstract. For Aristotle, existence was grounded in the here and now, in substance. A tree exists because it is a substance. It has height, color, the ability to grow. And he added something really important: purpose. Aristotle believed that everything that exists has a telos, a purpose, a goal. A tree's purpose is to grow, to reproduce, to create oxygen. A human's purpose? To live a life of virtue, to seek happiness. And here's the part I want you to think about. What is your purpose? Aristotle would say that understanding your purpose, your unique telos, is central to understanding what it means for you to exist. Are you existing simply because you're alive, or because you're fulfilling some deeper role, some reason you're here? So take a moment, sit with that. What gives your existence meaning and direction? Now let's fast forward a couple thousand years, all the way to 17th century France, where René Descartes is sitting at his desk, wrestling with a profound question. How can we know anything for certain? How can we even know that we exist? Descartes was obsessed with doubt. He doubted his senses. Maybe they deceive him. He doubted his memories. Maybe they're false. He even doubted mathematical truths. What if an evil demon was tricking him? But there was one thing he realized he couldn't doubt: the fact that he was doubting. Even if everything else was an illusion, the very act of questioning proved that he must exist. And that led him to his famous conclusion: cogito, ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. For Descartes, existence wasn't about having a body. That could be an illusion. It wasn't about being seen by others. They might not even be real. Existence was about consciousness, about having subjective experience. And this brings us to a question that we're still grappling with today. If existence requires consciousness, what about things that aren't conscious? Does a rock exist? What about a tree? What about artificial intelligence that can seem conscious but doesn't have the subjective experience we do? Descartes answered that those things exist, sure, but in a different way. They exist as matter, as physical objects in space, but they don't truly exist in the full, rich sense because they lack that inner life, that subjective awareness. So I want you to think about your own experience right now. There is something it's like to be you. That's something no one else can access. No one can see the way red looks to you. No one can hear the way music sounds to you. No one can feel the texture of your own thoughts. Your inner world, that private, unique world inside your mind, is what Descartes believed made you truly exist. And when you look up at the stars at night and you feel that sense of wonder, that sense of being a tiny part of this vast, beautiful cosmos, that experience is uniquely yours. And in Descartes' view, that private, subjective experience is the most certain proof that you exist. Let's take a moment. Imagine yourself stepping into the smoky cafes of 20th century Paris. The air is thick with the scent of tobacco, the hum of philosophical debate, and the clinking of coffee cups. This is where minds like Jean-Paul Sartre and Albert Camus were deeply immersed in what many believe to be one of the most challenging perspectives humanity has ever dared to explore. These thinkers, existentialists, sat with a bold, even startling premise. The universe, in all its vastness, has no inherent meaning or purpose. There is no grand design waiting in the wings, no pre-written script or cosmic plan to tell us what we're supposed to do with our lives. Jean-Paul Sartre put it in words that are as sharp as they are unsettling. Existence precedes essence. Let that sink in. What he meant is this: you, me, all of us. We exist first. We are born, we are thrown into the world, and only then, through the choices we make and the actions we take, do we create ourselves. Unlike, say, a knife designed with a specific purpose in mind, sharp to cut, built to serve a particular function, we as humans are not born with a predefined purpose. We are born blank, undefined, and it's up to us to decide, to forge, to create what we will become. And yes, this idea can be terrifying. Sartre knew that. He spoke openly about the deep, soul-shaking anguish that comes with realizing we are completely free and, at the same time, completely responsible for creating meaning in our lives. There is no external authority, no God descending with tablets, no whispering nature, no society pressing a guidebook into our hands that can tell us who we are supposed to be or how we are supposed to live. It's all on us. Every choice, every moment, every value we hold dear is ours to determine, and in that freedom, Beautiful, terrible freedom, we shape who we are. Camus took a slightly different path into this existential labyrinth. He gave us the concept of the absurd. He said, in essence, that human existence is absurd because we crave meaning, we hunger for it, we yearn for it, we demand it from the universe, but the universe remains coldly, maddeningly silent. It's like we're shouting into the void, begging for an answer, but nothing is coming back except the echo of our voice. But here's where existentialism refuses to leave us in despair. Camus argued that once we accept this absurdity, we become free. He illustrated this with the myth of Sisyphus. You know, the poor soul condemned to endlessly push a boulder up a mountain, only for it to roll back down again. On the surface, it seems like a portrait of pure futility. But Camus flips it. He tells us we must imagine Sisyphus as happy. Why? Because in the very act of pushing, of struggling, of saying, yes, this is absurd, but I will push anyway, Sisyphus creates his meaning. His defiance in the face of absurdity is an act of creation, of purpose, of freedom. And that's the heart of it, isn't it? What does this mean for you? The existentialists would say your existence is not defined by your job, your relationships, your achievements, or your circumstances. Not even the bad luck or the good fortune that comes your way. Your existence is defined by how you choose to live. It's in the values you create and hold to, the choices you make, especially when those choices are hard. So, pause for a moment, seriously take a deep breath, and ask yourself, what gives your life meaning? And here's the existential twist. Whatever your answer is, know that you have chosen that meaning. You can choose differently tomorrow. You are not fixed, not trapped. Your life is an ongoing, ever-evolving project of self-creation. And yes, that's terrifying. There's no guidebook, no guarantees, but it's also breathtakingly beautiful. The existentialists also talked about something they called authenticity, a way of being in the world where you live by your freely chosen values, not the values society, your family, or your friends expect of you. To live authentically means to own your life, to take responsibility for who you are and who you're becoming, rather than blaming your circumstances or drifting along with the crowd. Now let's take a sharp turn and step into the world of science. While philosophers have been grappling with questions of meaning and existence, scientists have been busy trying to understand the mechanics, how existence works, from a physical, measurable perspective. From the scientific point of view, existence is often defined by what can be measured, observed, and quantified. The Big Bang Theory tells us that everything we know, every star, every atom, every moment, came from an imaginably hot, dense point about 13.8 billion years ago. To exist, in this view, means to be a part of the physical universe, to be made of matter and energy, to occupy space, to persist through time. But science, too, has revealed that reality is not as straightforward as we might like. Quantum mechanics shows us that particles don't even have definite properties until they're observed. Remember the double-slit experiment? It suggests that an electron can exist in multiple places, in multiple states, at the same time until it's measured, and then it snaps into a particular state. That's mind-bending. It's led some physicists to ask, does objective reality exist independently of observation? Is the act of looking, the act of being aware, what makes something real? And it gets stranger. Consider the idea of emergence, how complex properties and experiences, like your thoughts, your emotions, your sense of self, can arise from billions of neurons firing in your brain. How does subjective experience, the feeling of being you, emerge from cold, hard, objective matter? This is the hard problem of consciousness, and it sits right at the intersection where science meets philosophy. Modern physics also tells us that most of the universe is invisible to us. Think about that. Dark matter and dark energy make up about 95% of the universe, yet we can't see them. We only know they're there because of their gravitational effects. That leads us to a provocative question. If something can't be directly observed but has measurable effects, in what sense does it exist? And then there's the wild possibility that multiple universes exist simultaneously. Imagine an infinite multiverse where every possible version of reality, every possible choice you could make, every possible life you could live is happening somewhere. If that's true, there could be infinite versions of you, living slightly different lives, making different choices, and existing in parallel realities. So where does all this leave us? We've taken a breathtaking journey across thousands of years of human thought, from Plato's perfect forms, to the uncertainty of quantum physics, from Descartes' famous "I think, therefore I am," to the existentialist's call to create meaning in a meaningless universe. And maybe the most important thing we've learned is that the question, what does it mean to exist, might not have a single definitive answer. And perhaps that's exactly as it should be. Maybe it's the asking, the wondering, the exploration itself that is the point. It's in the search, in the curiosity, in the willingness to sit with mystery that we truly experience what it means to be human. So here's what I hope you take away from this journey we've shared today. Your existence is simultaneously the most ordinary and most extraordinary thing in the universe. It's ordinary because billions of people have lived before you and billions will live after. But it's extraordinary because your particular combination of thoughts, feelings, experiences, choices, and perspectives has never existed before and will never exist again. So I want to leave you with a challenge. Don't just passively exist. Don't drift. Don't wait for someone else to tell you what your life should mean. Engage. Ask the big questions. Make conscious choices about who you want to be and how you want to live. Whether or not the universe has inherent meaning, you have the incredible power to create meaning through the life you choose to live. This has been an amazing journey we've taken together, and I genuinely want to hear from you. In the comments below, tell me, what does existence mean to you? Which of these philosophical perspectives resonates most deeply with your own experience? Have you ever had moments when the sheer mystery of your existence has taken your breath away? If this exploration has sparked your curiosity about the big questions of life, hit that subscribe button, and let's keep exploring these mysteries together. Share this conversation with someone who loves to think deeply about existence, because these questions are richer, deeper, and more meaningful when we explore them together. And remember this, the very fact that you can ask the question, what does it mean to exist, is itself one of the most astonishing features of existence. So keep asking, keep wondering, and above all, keep living authentically, fully, and courageously. Until next time, embrace the wild, beautiful, and sometimes terrifying mystery of being alive.